then I started getting sick again. And at this point, you know, I was a lot more connected. I was channeling, and it was just like made very clear to me that I had to let go of everything my ego is attached to. And I had to follow my mission, which was like, you're here to channel, like you're psychic. And so I pretty much overnight, and I remember this, like the person who was, you know, working with me, like came to my house and we spent a weekend and we like completely changed the website. We changed the podcast. We changed everything overnight. Hello, friends, and welcome to our 800th episode of the podcast. I can't believe it. I wanted to do something special for today's show, so I have my trusty friends here, Kaylin and Catherine. Welcome back.
Hi.
Hi. And we thought it would be fun to do just kind of like a Q&A about the journey with podcasting. I don't know what they're going to ask me, but I thought it would just be fun to talk about the journey so far. I like to do this every 100th episode or so because I like to celebrate the fact that I've been running this for such a long time. And so many of you have grown up with me on this show and been there every single week listening to me for hours talk about God knows what I'm talking about. So I am extremely grateful, and we're going to celebrate with a giveaway. I'm going to read off all of the things that you could get if you win this giveaway. All right. First, most importantly, a reading from me. Highly coveted. Highly coveted. I will record a reading for you. So I'll tap into your field, give you a reading, and you will have that recording first. Second, from our favorite Paleo Valley, all my favorite products: the chocolate bone broth protein, the grass-fed organ complex, the red velvet superfood bars, and the buffalo chicken sticks. From Clearstem Skincare, a curated skincare routine. So they are going to ask you about your skin and give you a specialized skincare routine just for you. Yeah, Catherine's like, I'm entering.
Yeah, I will enter this giveaway.
Yeah. Kelly's Clean Kitchen is giving a copy of her ebook, Easy Weeknight Dinners. So you have nice gluten-free, I think they're probably paleo, but maybe not, but easy weeknight dinners. From Tamara Renee, her Fascia Facelift Foundation tier. It's a digital course. So if you want to learn how to lift and smooth and restore your face with just your hands and a gua sha, this will show you how to do that. It has 5 hands-on gua sha video tutorials, fascia and lymph activation techniques, lessons on how to define your natural contours, the Fascia Facelift Foundation Guide, and you get lifetime access to that course. So if you want to learn how to contour your face. From Christine Hassler, we have her meditation and breathwork series. So this is a collection of 8 guided breathwork and meditation sessions that are going to help you feel more grounded, clear, and connected. Each session pairs powerful breathing techniques with a guided meditation to support things like easing anxiety, releasing stress, opening your heart, and moving through grief or stuckness. This is an on-demand experience you can return to anytime, whenever you need it. And lastly, we have from Holly Perkins, 5 lab spots. This is going to be recordings of Holly's masterclasses. So each lab is a 90-minute deep dive training with her, designed to simplify and demystify the most confusing topics around women's health, fitness, and body composition. You will walk away with real strategies and actionable steps you can start using immediately. You get expert coaching. Holly's going to teach the science behind each topic in a way that's clear, motivating, and easy to implement. Lifetime access to the recording. And of course, clarity and confidence. You're going to finally understand what your body needs to get stronger, leaner, and more energized. Pretty sweet giveaway. If you want to enter, there are a few things you can do for some entries. So first thing you can do, 5 entries if you share this episode to your social media stories and tag me. That's a good solid 5. You can get an entry if you comment on the YouTube video of this. You can get another entry if you comment on our Instagram post about this giveaway, and you can get another entry if you comment on our TikTok. So you can get a lot of entries. Am I missing anything?
No, that's it.
Okay, Great. So this was going to be running for 1 week. And after 1 week, we are going to close the giveaway and I will announce the winner on social media. But we'll contact you in some way so you will know if you win. And I can't wait. So now that we know the giveaway, let's jump into it. I'm letting you lead.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want to start?
I'm following.
Also, for the comments on the social, each comment counts. So tagging someone, you can tag as many people as you want.
Nice. Do that.
So we have really good questions. So I'm going to try and not bounce around a ton, but I think that this is a great one to start with. So you've basically lived multiple lifetimes through this podcast, right? It started as health and wellness, then it was business coaching, and now it's fully into channeling and spirituality. Even the name has changed multiple times. Can you walk us through the identity shifts behind each era and what was happening in your life and your business at those times that made you know it was time to evolve?
Oh my gosh, that's a good question. What was going on in my life? Okay, so when I first started this show, I started it when I was in college and I was really into podcasts. At the time, there were like, I swear there were like 5 out there. There were like, there was nothing, but I found this medium and I was obsessed with it. And I would every day, it took me an hour to walk to class every day at school because UCLA is a huge campus. And I would have an hour walk to campus and an hour walk back. And so I needed stuff to do and I loved to learn. And so I got really into podcasts. And I just fell in love with the medium. I loved that I could learn so much. It was free information. I didn't have to look at anything. I just fell in love with it. And it was a lot more education based at the time. I don't know. I just felt like I would always say with my friends, like we should record these conversations. We would have these like really deep conversations with each other. And I'm like, I feel like other people our age would really resonate with this. So I was like, let's start a podcast because there was literally nobody else around my age having those types of conversations. And it started as like, it was supposed to be for college aged kids essentially. And so that's how it got started. And then at the time I was really into health and wellness because I had been going through different health issues. And when I started, I had gotten over like the first phase of the worst of it. But health and wellness is a big part of my life. And I was working for like a blogger and author out there and really in the wellness scene because of that. So and all my friends were into that too. So we started like interviewing some of those people and bringing in more of the wellness space. And it was really fun because I felt like I was introducing a lot of more people my age into like wellness. And I think now it's way more common, but then it wasn't. Like I was the only gluten-free person, so it was very niche the way that my roommates and I lived and how into health and wellness we were. So then it kind of started changing into like that type of show because we were getting more into interviews. And then because I had finished school early and I went to nutrition school and I was starting my career. And I was like the ringleader of the show essentially, and they didn't care as much, obviously. So it just made sense for me to like take hold of it and make it more connected to my job. So that was the first name change. That was when it became Wellness Realness, and it was about wellness. And that went really well with the career I was building and like because I had my blog and all of that. So then it became wellness focused, and that was really my transition kind of into being like a health practitioner and that whole phase of my life. So that was the first change. And then the next change would be when it became titled, well, actually, so while it was still that name was probably the longest name. And then toward the end of that, I started business coaching. And I had been, a lot of the clients I worked with were like mystery complex cases, chronic illness. I mean, it was heavy. It was heavy. And I also was going through my own stuff again. Like my health had been really good, and then it just got really, really bad because of all of the stress I was under. I did not have good time management. I did not have good boundaries. I still had a lot of inner healing to do, really related to boundaries. And I also could not handle the amount of like media attention I was getting. Like I was like, in Pop Sugar, I was in People Magazine, I was in D-Lit, I was like getting all of this media coverage, I was going into big studios, like, and then I started getting all the comments, and then I'm getting like hate things written about me on the internet and all that. And I was young, and I just like couldn't handle it, honestly. And I just crumbled underneath that of just like all the mean things people were saying. And that really put me into adrenal fatigue. And then my health started getting bad again. And that was kind of when I started figuring out I had mold and Lyme and all that was connected. But during that time, I started diving into like my spiritual gifts in the back side of things. But I realized like I just couldn't hold space for other people. Like I could feel in my body, and I knew intuitively that the career I was in was just continuing to make me sick. And I really was becoming aware of at the time, like I need to change my identity. I need to change my focus in my everyday life to heal my body. And my focus every day, because of my career, was sick people. And I was very just like, I need to be thinking about something completely different to get my energetic focus off of this topic. And at the same time, people in the health industry were just coming to me, like a lot of colleagues were coming to me wanting my help to like build their business. And I had a lot of people around me who had big media, like other podcast hosts, and had like much bigger followings than me, but they didn't actually have a business. Like they couldn't actually get clients. And that was what I was really good at. So I started just business coaching people, and I really enjoyed it. It felt really easy for me. It just felt light. And I was like, I'm just going to switch into this. And I ran my first like beta group of a business coaching program, and that did really well. And then I immediately shifted into building Biz School, which was just like, I mean, one of my favorite times of my life, honestly. And a lot of people that went through that program like are still with me, and I mean, work on the team, like literally, so that connected with so many people that have just like been, in my community, in my field, become friends. So I loved that phase of my life. It was so fun. And I was still, the title was still like Wellness Realness, because I was teaching business in the industry. Like I knew, like I was teaching about how to run a service-based business. So it was people in health and wellness. And then on the, back side of things, I was going on my spiritual journey. And then I started having symptoms pop up again. Like it was just this thing with my body. And I had been, channeling and like kind of doing all of that behind the scenes. And I had built an energy healing business like that nobody knew about because I didn't talk about it publicly for a while. And I had this whole other part of me that was like the secret part of me that I was interested in. And honestly, like I never thought that would be my career. Like I was doing all of that like as a hobby, and like it was fun and it was interesting, but I just never thought it would be my career. It was more, my ego was like very tied up in this whole thing I was doing. And then I started getting sick again. And at this point, I was a lot more connected. I was channeling, and it was just like made very clear to me that I had to let go of everything my ego is attached to. And I had to follow my mission, which was like, you're here to channel, like you're psychic. And so I pretty much overnight, and I remember this, like, the person who was, working with me, like came to my house, and we spent a weekend, and we like completely changed the website. We changed the podcast. We changed everything overnight. And I did not do it subtly. I changed my Instagram handle. It was a whole thing. And it was like really emotional for me. And I got a lot of people were like really excited about it. I had a lot of people who I thought were my friends who like immediately didn't want to talk to me anymore. Like it was like very polarizing. And I honestly had to kind of deal with the turning of that shift and that like kind of identity shift for probably like 3 years. It was really, really hard for me.
Did they not know that part of you?
A lot of people didn't. Yeah, a lot of people didn't. And a lot of people just like didn't want to be connected to it. So anyway, I changed everything to Christina the channel pretty much overnight. And then was like, I'm just going to do this. And then the next change was multidimensional, which was what, like
January of 2024.
Was it 2 years ago?
Yeah.
January of 2024.
Okay, yeah, like
which is the first time I met you in person.
Yeah.
We came up with the name.
Yeah. I had just been feeling I felt almost like I made that identity shift, and I felt like became my whole personality became like other beings I was channeling it. I felt like I was lost.
Yeah.
And everything felt really heavy and really serious, and like it had nothing to do with my personality anymore. So I wasn't feeling good in it. And I was thinking about like, what do I really want to use the podcast for? And I'm like, I want to use this as a space where people can see like we are multidimensional. And being multidimensional isn't just me sitting here talking about like the quantum. It's like that I like wellness and health and business, and I like to shoot the shit, and I like Bridgerton, and I like Stranger Things, and I'm a normal person, and I drink sometimes. It's like just that people have all of these sides. And even just like with bringing different people on the show, helping people to see there are these people who are in all different industries and how they incorporate like their spirituality and their wellness, and like what that whole multidimensional aspect of them, all those different sides of them, how they support that person in being successful at what they do. Because what I think is interesting about people isn't just like, if I talk to a CEO who's built this amazing company, I don't care just about like the technical piece about how did you build your team, and like what did you do to increase revenue, and how did you make that big exit. Like I'm curious about like what are the behind the scenes in terms of like your mindset and your practices and your spiritual beliefs that move you forward.
Right.
And I talk to a lot of CEOs and founders and angel invest and all these different people, and they like getting to know that side of them is what makes them successful.
Right.
Like that is the foundation of how they know how to make these decisions.
Right.
Like there is such an intuitive thing to this, and such a conviction and connection to like, whatever they believe in, and such discipline and dedication to their wellness practices, their mindset practices. And then some people where it's not like that, but like, that's the part I'm more interested in. I'm like, you as a person, because I really know that when people bring things big to the planet or things that are interesting, I'm like, that's so much about you, like, and how unique your energy is, and like how if you're like a creative genius, if you're like a techie, like just the way that you work is what allows that to come forward, and like nobody else could have brought that forward. So I think that that's really interesting. I think like Steve Jobs is the example that comes to mind. Like people are fascinated by his mindset, I was just talking to somebody about like we were talking about his leadership style and how, particular that was, like how he ate, how he wore the same thing every day, like all of that stuff goes into how did you do this. And so anyway, I kind of just wanted to bring that more holistic side of things forward, and I wanted the podcast to be a place where I could talk about all of these different things that I care about and I'm interested in, because they are all connected. Like I can't separate how I read energy, like the quantum, my soul, my business mind, my like loving health, loving Harry Potter, loving, the TV shows and film, like all of that actually is connected. It's all coming from the same frequency. And so that was kind of the point of why I wanted to change the name of the show. Does that answer the question?
Yeah. Love it.
Yeah.
So going along with that, and maybe you want to answer like in the different chapters, who are some of the guests that you've learned the most from, that you've had on?
Oh my God. Like learned the most?
Like learned the most live, like in the recording.
Oh God, I would need a list.
Yeah.
I mean,
just anything that pops right now.
Some people I forget their name, honestly. Learn the most live. Tracy Dews.
That was a crazy one. I was there.
You definitely learn a lot from her. The thing is that a lot of people who are more recent on the show are less technical. Like I think I learn a lot more when people are a lot more technical. So I probably like learned more live when I was more in health and wellness or that type of person. I mean Tamara, about like fascia and lymph, like you're learning stuff like, you know, so when I think like I'm learning a lot, it's usually more in those arenas where it's like the technical side. I mean, I know I had people on earlier where it was like stuff about EMFs and non-toxic living and just all these things that I did not, you don't realize. The scalar energy episode, like scalar energy was something I wasn't familiar with. And yeah, those are some of the episodes that pop for me. Yeah, it's more the sciencey ones because I'm not that sciencey.
And when people are able to just bring you that knowledge, it's like, well, I would never have known that.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you can remember that was like it caused an immediate change in your behavior? Like it was like something that changed you started drinking something or you stopped consuming something, or was there any like anything? Doesn't have to be food related, but
you know what's interesting is this didn't change my behavior, but it reinforced one. I had the founder of Swanwick, the glasses company, the red light. He came on. He was talking about because I don't know if he still is, but he was teaching on this a lot, like how much drinking impacts your income. And like the whole thing was talking about like how if you stop drinking alcohol, how much more money you'll make. And that one, like I was like, damn, this is a good like
good hot take.
This is hot. And it was just when he mapped it out, like, and at the time I didn't drink at the time anyway, but when he mapped it out, because it was very like left brain, like literally crunching numbers.
Yeah, now I want to listen. We'll have to link the episodes.
It was crunching numbers. I remember just being like, wow, like
I want to
drinking alcohol, I'm leaving so much money on the table. And
oh my God, I have literally thought about that in like my years, because like I don't really drink that much anymore. But, like my years of going to the clubs and on stuff, I'm like, oh my God, I don't even want to know.
But I also I think it also made me think a lot about now, like just with any behavior I do that's going to set me back, I think about it in terms of dollars. And that's a very real thing and how that adds up. And that was like definitely a very shifting episode. I mean, Tracy's episode also was another like immediate one for sure. Episodes about skin, so like when Danielle, Kaylee, Allie have come on and talked about things with like acne and skin, obviously the Tamara, the fascia one, like that immediately I'm like, God, I gotta work on all this stuff. I went home and I buy like every piece of lymphatic clothing I could buy, getting a copper dry. I'm like, that definitely changes things for me. Who else did I immediately change behavior? I mean, Elizabeth Ralph, like I was like, wow, I'm really not taking advantage of my skills when it comes to investing. So like ever since that, it's like been a lot of kind of rearranging different accounts I have so I can like actually start to use my psychic abilities, because I was just very like hands off. Like I just like actually never looked at it that way. And now I'm like, why would I not be managing my own investments? Because like I can read the field,
right?
You know? So those are some that stand out about like immediate changes I've made. Yeah.
Love that. That's so powerful. Has the podcast itself and like sharing something ever triggered an identity death in you? Like was there ever a moment where you were like, okay, I just shared this and this is going to cause this part of me to fall away?
I mean, yeah, when I like came out as a channel, you know what I mean? Like that was like, there was that for sure. I think it constantly
does.
I don't know. But yeah, that one for sure. I think, you know, when I was younger, and I wouldn't change anything, but I shared a lot more in real time. And that was a lot more like, I didn't think about it. I didn't think about consequences. And there are consequences to that. And I would just very much process live. But I was also like 21 years old. And like, you do what you do, you know? And now I take a lot more time within myself to like work with it. And I'll share more of like the reflection. But I'm just like, you know, I've grown up a little bit more, so I'm like a little more mature in how I think about things, and I'm sure that will continue. But I'm yeah, there were definitely a lot more consequences before about things I said, and I was like very much I don't give a fuck. And now I'm a little more just intentional with giving myself time to process. And because it's always like about me. It's always about me, and so I need to get the root of what that is, and then that can be a really helpful learning lesson versus if I haven't fully processed it, sometimes I'm making it about someone else, you know? And that's not actually the truth. So, but yeah, I think that just coming out as a channel, I mean, channeling is like really vulnerable for me, and the different phases of showing different styles of that have been like really, I mean, I remember the first time, and my friends still make fun of me, but like the first time I shared myself channeling on Instagram and I just burst out in tears and I started crying, and my friends will still make fun of me. They're like, oh my God, when you were crying on Instagram. And I was like, it was so vulnerable.
Yeah.
But I felt like I need to like share it. And then I had a lot of people being like, you shouldn't be sharing this. This is too weird and blah, blah, blah. And so it was just like really hard. It was like very raw and traumatizing to do that the way I did. But I also don't know how else I would have done it.
Yeah.
At some point you gotta show it. But it's like it's so vulnerable.
Right.
And you know what was interesting is I heard Lee Harris say this on one of his interviews where somebody asked him like, what was more vulnerable, what was scarier for you, coming out as gay or coming out as a channel? And he said coming out as a channel.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what I mean? It's like it is a very vulnerable thing. Like, and you think about these things that are like super vulnerable that people have to share about themselves and how scary that is. And that could be with like anything in your life. I mean, that could just be like sharing a truth about like, I don't want to be here anymore. Like, I don't want to be in this relationship. I don't want to be, you know, and I think it's been really vulnerable for me at times when I have had to say on the podcast, like, I don't want to do this version of this anymore.
Yeah.
Like, that is super scary for me.
Right.
Yeah.
It's really scary for me. Or like, I'm actually changed my mind about this. Like that is very scary for me. Like, I take it really seriously, the community and showing up for people, and I don't want to let people down, but I also need to honor myself.
Sure.
And even when I'm like honoring myself, it doesn't mean I'm not like also aware of people's emotions around it. But everyone's always going to have an opinion, but I'm not somebody that's just like, oh, I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks. Like, I mean, I do, I care, but yeah, there's always a balance there. So yeah, it's vulnerable for me when I am sharing a change, for sure.
Yeah.
It's an ego death.
Well, I think that part of it is people enjoy the podcast and follow you because they relate to you on your abilities, but also because of who you are and how you show up. So like whenever we alter that, you know, it can like freak people out a little bit.
Yeah.
But actually that leads me into my next question is, what is something that people assume about you, about what you do, that's like wildly inaccurate?
About what I do?
Yeah. About your abilities. That's like completely inaccurate.
Well, I'll go with the classic. People seem to think that if they look at me in the eye,
that's what
if they look at me in the eye, that I can read all their thoughts.
Yeah.
Which I think is there's like two myths in there.
Yeah.
One is like whether or not you're looking at me, I can still read you.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't matter. Two, I am not interested in like walking around and reading everybody.
Right.
Like I am like not doing that.
Right.
That makes sense. I really don't need to know. It's not my business, and I don't want to know. So that's probably the most common assumption people make. What else? I mean,
I feel like that's
y'all
probably
might know better than me what people are assuming.
I can't remember where you were saying this the other day. It might have been at the retreat, but where people assume that just because you're psychic, you know everything. Or no, you said that in a podcast. Yes.
Yeah. People ask me, they're like, well, we probably know that. I'm like, no, you know, or like, I think also with being a psychic, it's like, I'm not just like, so we have specialty, like the type of information you get, there's like a lane, right? And people will be like, well, what have they told you about what's happening, you know, in Morocco on April 18th in 2027? I'm like, I have no idea. Like I didn't tune in. You know what I mean? And like, that's not, like, no, I just don't know everything about everything.
Right.
I know what they're delivering to me, and like that's my job. And I definitely have like the more, and this has been part of the journey that's kind of naturally unfolded, but also what I've needed to do that I like keep having to do. It's like when you first open your gifts, it's like you're getting everything about everything, you know. I'm spending, years talking to dead people, and I'm tapping into the future, and I'm reading the field, and I'm doing all this historical shit, and I'm like, oh, this in the history book is, I'm like, you're doing everything, and then your gifts start to kind of specialize and hone in, and just like in your career, you like start to go a certain direction to get really good at that direction.
Yeah.
And you have to like leave the rest out to like be able to really focus on that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think just understanding there are like specialties. I think also a lot of the misconceptions around this is we're asking questions based on like our understanding of how reality works. And most people don't understand the fact that time is a construct we're living in,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't understand that all realities are existing at once everywhere. Like, and so that changes the nature of the question. Like when you're asking things about the future or history, you're working, it changes the read. And a lot of people make assumptions based on thinking like we are in one reality on one timeline track and nothing else exists. And that's actually not what's happening. Most people are functioning off of a misunderstanding of how time works.
Yeah.
And how literally in every second you can be switching into different timelines. And that means that like I can be talking to a different version of you in the next second, tomorrow, living out a completely different thing, like hence Mandela effect, what's real, like, and that kind of changes the whole conversation. So yeah, I don't know, those are some. I probably don't get as many of the misconceptions, like I just don't even interact with those, you know.
Totally.
But yeah, what else? I think a lot of people think they're gonna come and I'm gonna be, wearing layers of robes and sleeping upside down like a bat, like, it's like that kind of stuff. I think a lot of people think I would be a lot more, like in terms of the work, like ungrounded than I am.
Yeah.
So things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you love to ask people about their morning routine. What do you feel right now is like the most important part of your morning routine and how it makes a huge difference in your whole life? And has that changed over time?
I mean, obviously it's I do energy work and I'm channeling, like that part of my morning is just night and day different. I have to do that. So I mean, my morning routine, I wake up, I scrape my tongue, I brush my teeth, I wash my face, I get into workout clothes, I go downstairs, I feed my cats, I eat breakfast. I have a huge thing of hot water with a shit ton of salt in it. Then I eat my breakfast. I will do the lymphatic plate if I have time. Like I usually multitask with that. If I have time, I'll do that for like 5 to 10 minutes. If I have extra room, like while I'm eating or in doing my water, I either journal. Like I might pull some cards and journal, or just journal. Or if I'm running late, I'll like play a random tarot YouTube video while I'm like putting the dishes away or what kind of cleaning up, like depending on the morning. Then I go and I work out. Then I shower, and then I have my big meditation, which I like to have. I mean, some days it's 10 minutes, some days it's 20 minutes. Most days it's like 30 minutes to an hour. And if I have time, I will extend that as much as possible. And then I do that in my robe after my shower. I'm in my nice comfy robe. And then I get dressed. So it all kind of depends what time I wake up. And like the abridged version of that is wake up, run downstairs, drink my water, make a shake, drink that while I'm walking on the treadmill to multitask. Take a shower, do like a 10-minute energy work, meditation, and then out the door. And that doesn't take me that long. But for sure my connection time. It's the central thing of my whole life, which is why we have the app.
Yeah.
Like it's just that. It's just that simple.
Yeah.
It's like when I get all of my answers, and like I think everybody around me knows. It's like if I didn't do my thing that day,
Oh yeah, no.
It's just like it's like go upstairs and like that will change my whole day. So and some days I will habit stack. I'll habit stack that a lot of times. So if I want to do the sauna, I'll do in the sauna blanket while I'm doing that, or I'll do a coffee enema while I'm doing that. Or I'll be in the bath. Sometimes I like to sit in the bath. So sometimes I'll habit stack it too. But that's the key. Unlocked.
Yeah. With those like habits and just a lot of what we were talking about, is there anything that you think is really popular right now that in like the spiritual like practices or trendy, if you will, that maybe you think is not maybe, but or that you see as being harmful?
Harmful?
Yeah. Or like they're trying to use it as like a spiritual bypass and it actually isn't. There's something that comes to my mind that we've talked about, but I'm just curious.
Well, I feel like that's a leading question and you should probably say what you're thinking. But the thing that comes to my mind
go ahead.
is I think the first thing is I think a lot of manifestation stuff is just like ego feeding. It's like you can get whatever you want. And it's like it's more in the energy of you're trying to force a reality. And spirituality is about inner healing. It's about authenticity. It's about looking at the hard shit. It's not about bypassing stuff. And I think a lot of stuff in the manifestation world is very much like you can get whatever you want. And it's kind of like ego driven and reinforcing this belief for people that they need to control their lives and they can control everything from their egos. So I think that can be harmful. I think obviously a lot of plant medicine usage is extremely harmful for people. That's a huge one that comes up like in people's sessions. We've talked about the raves and the concerts that can really impact people's field. I'm trying to think what else in the spiritual community. I think there's a lot of weird shit in the spiritual community. Like you look at like Tulum or Austin or like there's like a lot of these Sedona. There's a lot of these communities where it's like these really weird ceremonies and people are preying on people. Like there is like horrible traumatic things that happen to people, and these people are just trying to like have a healing experience, and people are doing things really out of integrity. They're predators. It's like scary, and it's hard because it makes people have an assumption about the industry.
Sure. Yeah.
So I think obviously that kind of thing can happen, but I think a lot of the like mixing energy in groups with people that don't know how to handle group energetics and everything's just flying around.
Right.
I think there's a lot of people that are doing things. Even take channeling. Like I won't teach channeling because you have to be, there's so much you have to do to like be a clear vessel for that. And a lot of people channel dark shit. A lot of people, like their fields get really warped because they don't know who or what they're talking to. They don't have control over it. And so I think there's a lot of that. And I also think you got to be really careful in the whole conspiracy space, because I feel like there's a lot of people, there's that whole sector of spirituality that's very like the conspiracies. And look, it's not that I'm not into it, but there's also a fine line where there's a lot of fear mongering. And I think I look at a lot of these communities and like the comments, and you're just like, these people are it's very fear energy. It's very like 4D weird distortion energy. And I'm like, isn't this supposed to be about like rising into love and like creating something better? I'm getting a really loud ring. Yeah. Well, so it's like, I think a lot of times people get into spirituality and they don't realize it's just feeding more of the ego. There's the, spiritual ego that's huge for people. Oh, I'm better than, I'm more important. And there's also a lot of the fear. Like they're afraid of everything's out to get you. And like, you have to be able to be like, yes, are pesticides bad for us? Absolutely. Or is there agenda? Yeah. Yes. There are these agendas. And can I hold that truth and also not live my life in complete fear? You have to be able to hold those. And so I think there's a lot of that like fear spiraling and kind of negativity. It's hard to find spiritual spaces that are actually high frequency.
Mm-hmm.
That's been my experience. I don't know if you guys had something else you were thinking of.
No, you.
Are you thinking of the plant medicine?
Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
Well, it popped into my head as I was asking the question, because I feel like that's just been so popularized, and people are like, "I'm gonna go do this," and we were talking earlier, and I was like, my Aries came out where I was like, "You just need to get over it." But no, I think I've met people who have done it, who it's like it has really helped their like severe PTSD from experiences that they've had. But I've also talked to people who like do it all the time, and I'm like, and like. Teach their own. It's just not for me.
You say always like it's all about like your orientation point about why you're doing it, and if you're doing it as like a way to not do the work,
right?
Then of course you're not gonna.
Well, it's just that a lot of people, they're like, I don't want to do the work. I want to go to this one ceremony and blast myself, and be done, and then they don't ever actually change.
Yeah,
sure. Yeah,
and there's the whole just like what it actually does to their field.
Yeah, like
it's just yeah. I have never, and I haven't seen everybody, but I've never seen somebody who, like, everybody I've seen who's done a plant ceremony has an entity from the ceremony. And I've seen a lot of people. Like, and I know a lot of other people in my line of work who have also experienced the same thing. So it can heal stuff, and also what else is now in your field.
Right.
That's just how I feel about it. Yeah. And I'm not saying it's bad. It's always bad. Like, there's for sure a time and a place, and there's a lot of people that facilitate that really responsibly and beautifully, and like, I think so much of it is like doing it one-on-one is so much cleaner, and like that takes away a lot of the issues, because it's about the energy hopping around more than anything. So again, I'm not saying like there's nothing that I think is like always bad. I mean, actually, maybe that's untrue. But it's just about how you use things and how it's done and the intention. And I'm just talking, there's a higher percentage of times I see that go wrong than not.
Yeah. And I think it's just like what you were saying with the groups. It's like, and these are things that we may not like, right? It's just like what you told me with the concerts and the raves. It's like, and just because you know something that is bad for your field doesn't mean you're never going to do it necessarily, but you do it consciously. And in a plant medicine ceremony, it's more about like, everyone else is also releasing their shit. So it's like you may have released yours, but you picked up someone else's. And same thing with like being at a music show. It's like I'm doing my releasing work, but then am I picking up everyone else's shit that they released?
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, I love a rave. And like, I mean, recently we had gone to one and we all walked in there and I was like, this is dark. Like, this is like, but it's like, I know what I'm going into and I protect myself and I do what I need to do and I clear myself after, and like, I'm willing to do that. But I'm like, I'm not going to do that every weekend. It's like maybe a once a year kind of thing. And I really have to want to do it. And I might get to a point where I never want to, I don't know. Like, I still live my life, but it's just kind of understanding the reality of, it's like, this is dark, like objectively, like everybody here is hurting, you know? So
someone asked, can you explain how to start a podcast? Like, I'm in kindergarten. How do you start and how do you scale? Sponsors, intro music, how to put it out there from A to Z. Thank you.
It's not actually that hard. I mean, to be honest, I don't really remember the logistics because I did this 11 years ago. And I think, and I'm sure at the time it was a lot harder than it is now. Yeah. So you could probably just like ask chat, like, what are the steps? And it would tell you the logistics. So essentially you get a mic, you record something, you can record right on GarageBand. That's what I did. You make any edits. So you just learn some basic editing. You can buy royalty free music. So there's different websites you can go to. What do we use? Like Audio Jungle, I think it's called. But there's different websites you can go to find royalty free music. Or you can even like get, like, I had somebody make something for me once. So you get royalty free music that you're allowed to use, and not everybody has music. Not everybody does an intro. So you can decide if you want to make an intro, and just put the music on that, or just do music. And you just learn some very basic editing of like, how do I add music and fade it out, and same at the end. Yeah. You record, you have your file, and nowadays it's really easy. Like, you literally just upload it to whatever host you're using. So like, we used Libsyn for a long time, and now I think we still use Red Circle. I think, does Spotify have it now for everybody? Yeah, there's like there are a lot more options now. Back in the day, it was not like that. And you just, you upload it there, and then it distributes everywhere. And it's pretty easy on the technical side, in my opinion. And then, so that's kind of logistics, how you do it. And then what else did they ask?
Just like, I think they were kind of referring to launching sponsors, intro music, how to put it out there.
So, I mean, here I'm going to be honest. It's like, if you want to put your podcast out there and you want to like really make a splash and scale it, I would highly recommend working with somebody. Like, there are a lot of people that run programs that teach this, that do coaching around it. And I would just recommend doing that, because you do want to have a launch strategy. If you don't care about any of this, if you don't care about that, like numbers, or you're not doing it as a business, then just launch and go. Who cares? But if you really want to make it a business, I would work with somebody. There's a lot of great people that know how to do it, because there is a lot to do with like timing and number of episodes you want. And I don't even know anymore. Like, I used to teach people this, but it's changed since then. But like, 3 or 4 years ago, it was like, you want to make sure that you record at least 4 to 5 episodes and launch them all at the same time, and then launch multiple more in the week. There's even like, there's pay to play stuff now. A lot of like getting featured is more about paying, to be honest, right? And then figuring out whatever you want your show to have a niche. There's a lot that you want to do with the cover, like certain covers just psychologically are going to do better than other people. I think it's just helpful to have somebody look at the title, the description, the imagery, and make sure it's all good for like, getting more eyes on it. It is just a marketing thing now. And just, how you can get on New and Noteworthy, which I actually don't know at that point if that's completely paid for, or like, it used to be if you got a ton of downloads, you could get on that. And then I know for a while it was, the whole thing was rigged. I don't know what it is anymore, but the space goes through a lot of changes all the time. So I would work with somebody who's like, their job is to stay pulsed into that, for sure. But you want a launch strategy. You want to include, social media accounts. I think giveaways are great. Anything you can do to like get more people to download, to subscribe. But I think the main thing is really figure out why you're doing it. And if it is something you're trying to make money off of, you need to have a real monetization plan. It's much easier to monetize off of your own offerings than it is sponsors. So sponsorships you can do in a couple of ways. There are a lot of different like agencies now that set that up. Most podcast sponsorships nowadays are very much based on, how many people are listening per episode. You get like paid a certain amount, and there's a standard rate, which you don't get paid very much, to be honest. There's another way of doing sponsorships, which is just your own private negotiation with companies. And I think the best thing to do is find companies that you really like, that are like smaller, that where it also would benefit them, and do your own negotiation where it's like, this is my price for ads, like this many ads. And that's how I built it at the beginning. And that's how I made a lot of money. If I was doing it per listener, I wouldn't have made much money. But the thing is, if you go to a huge company, they're not going to pay you that. But if you go to like a smaller brand that also wants to grow, and you help them see the benefit of getting sponsored on a show, which podcast ad space is the best way to advertise any offer nowadays. Like, a lot of the companies that are growing the fastest are just putting all ad money straight into podcasts, because they convert so well. And that's what I did. I was like, look at my conversion rate. Like, this company got this, and this is how much money they made. This is how many people bought. And because here's the thing, let's say you have 200 podcast listeners. That's not that many. And so a lot of companies are just going to pay you like 35 cents for each person. You're making no money.
Right.
I just made that up. I don't know what it is now. but if I have 200 people and I have a locked in audience and 150 of them buy anything I suggest because they trust me, that's 150 sales. Like that's worth a lot of money. And so early on, my show was a lot more like that. It was like, I didn't have super big numbers, but I never needed them because I had such big conversion. Because people trust me, because I mean, most people will say, I'm like, anything I use is good shit.
I ask you for everything.
Yeah. Like people trust me. I'm like, it's good shit, you know, and I use it every day. So I think that comes back to, like, for me, you have to always think about, you have to build a relationship. And people start a podcast and they think about it as this really transactional thing of, if I just put something out that's good info, I'm going to make money. It's not like that. It's a long game. You have to be consistent. Most podcasts stop after like 3 months.
Right.
I mean, if you just keep going, you will be in the top 2% of podcasts. It's that simple. It's not that hard to be in the top like 1%. You literally just have to keep going, because most people drop out.
Yeah. I heard it's like after 20 episodes.
Yeah.
There's like most people stop because it's just it's work.
It's, you know? I think it's something like, if you can go for a year straight, you are in the top 1%.
Yeah.
You know, and so you have to think about, how am I going to be consistent with this? What can I talk about forever? Like, is this really a good platform for me? You know, do I really do well speaking? Thinking about that. But you have to focus on trust first. Like, I was podcasting for years before I even thought about monetizing, because I was just building a relationship with people, and relationships are what create a solid business. So you have to think really big picture and really long term, in my opinion, if you're trying to monetize. And again, I think the best way to monetize is to niche down, create an offer that's yours, that connects really well with whoever is going to listen to that show, and then use the show to advertise that offer. Yeah. And that's the smartest way to monetize, instead of depending on sponsorships. So that's what I would say, high level.
Love it. That's all we got for you.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thanks for the questions.
Of course.
That was fun. Let me ask, what would you like to see in this next era?
I would like to see more of you just following your inspiration, whatever that is and wherever that leads you, and sharing that.
Great. I could probably do that.
Yeah. I love to see you talk to people that do your work and talk about like how it's actually impacted their lives. Because you interview so many people that are like doing their own work, as you said, which is one of the reasons I love listening to the interviews, because you really see how people, who they are and why, like, running their, and then it makes you want to support their businesses. But I think too, like, you've worked with so many people that what you've taught them and brought them through has changed their lives. To actually like sit down and talk to them about like how it has changed their lives and where they are now versus where they were when they started.
Yeah, and what they've actually done.
Right.
It's definitely helpful for me, because I talk to a lot of people and I'm like, tell me exactly what you did, and they'll be like, I used this, I used like this training, I took a ton of notes, then I was using these meditations, and it's like people have their kind of system with it. So that is really good. Have you guys had a favorite episode?
Ooh, well, besides the ones that I've been on, where you've blown my brain. I loved the Tracy Dews episode.
Yeah.
Like, that was crazy. And Elizabeth Ralph. I mean, it's so special for me too, because I get to be there. Yeah. You know?
Yeah. I loved Christine Hassler's because I didn't realize that, like, I knew who she was until because I was sitting in the other room, but I was listening to you guys, and I'm like, wait, I've read her books. And I hadn't put it together, and it was just very like relevant to my life, and the life experience she had was very similar to like kind of what I'm going through right now, and I really liked that. So I also liked Amy, the Lazy Millionaire. Like, I just that's the vibe I love. Yeah,
that is the vibe.
And I do love, like, I follow all her stuff now.
Same. Same.
Yeah. What about you? What was your favorite?
I'd say Elizabeth Ralph too.
Is your mic on? Or I can just repeat it. Okay.
Yeah. He said Elizabeth Ralph.
Okay.
I'd agree with that. And the Tracy one was wild too, the water one, because I didn't know anything about it. So
I need to like re-listen to all
of
these again.
What was your favorite of like being in the room? Because there's this whole other side of the show of like what's happening in the, like, the energy in the room, and And you've been in all of them.
Every room.
Mm-hmm. I thought what was her name? The sex therapist one?
Oh, Laura Berman.
That was interesting too.
Yeah. Love her.
So that was like a favorite, more recent one I think that we did.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's so funny because, I mean, let's talk about manifestation.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many people that have been on the show.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody that's been on the show. When I first started this podcast, these were people I like looked up to as like celebrities. And then now they're my friends.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just so funny. Like, even, you know, it's like, even with Holly and Christine, I told them, I was like, I literally like was listening to you when I was in college, like learning from you, you know, and it's like, and now we're here. Yeah. It's so many full circle moments. And for me, it's one of those things like this show allows it's this constant manifestation portal. And there were so many people. And I remember this when I first started the show. And telling my friends, I'd be like, this person and this person and this person and this person, like, I'm gonna be friends with them. And that was like 10 years ago, and everybody has come true. And at the time, I mean, it was, and some people it has been not through the show, but it's, you know, I'm like, and it wasn't like an ego, like I want to be. It was just like I just knew, I was like, I'm going to be friends with that person.
Right. Yeah.
And this person has like 1 million followers, you know, and I'm like a nobody. Right. But I just and it wasn't like I did this show with the intention of it, just kind of unfolded. And like a lot of these people, like these were all pitches to us.
Yeah. It was like you had the platform to facilitate the friendship.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it wasn't even, you know, there's certain people I reach out to. Typically if I have a prior relationship, sometimes I reach out to them. But a lot of people like are just pitched to my show, and I'm like, that's so funny because like 5 years ago I was like, that's a dream guest, you know? So it is really cool. And it's one of those things, you know, with manifestation, we talk about like changing your reality quickly, but there's so much stuff that's a long build. Like the bigger it is, you know, it's like you just be in the process, and it happens in divine timing. But I've just met the best people through this. Yeah. So yeah, it's been a lot of full circle moments for sure.
I would also love to see more live soul readings / energy healing.
Yeah.
Just because I love watching people's brains be blown. Like even this past weekend we had the Ahai level 2 live, and like when you were doing demos, I was just like, I get to watch this and like all the time, but like watching other people watch you and like have you be narrating it, I think that's really special. So I would love that to
even I like when I got here on Saturday and took over for Kaylin, within like 5 minutes I texted her and I was saying to Tynelli, I was like, this is so fun to just like watch you teach it, because it's like I am around it all the time, but just I also am like nerdy with like operational, like I love how it works in a way, but it's like it's so cool. And I mean, I think something that's just like coming up for me is so many times when we've talked about stuff, you're like, well, I told them to do this and they're not doing it right. And I was like, you know what? There's like certain things that like, we were talking about redecorating my house, right? Yeah. That's come up 3 times in a week. And I'm like, I'm just going to do what is coming up.
Yeah.
Like, I'm literally going to be like, we talked about a business thing for me, and I'm like, I'm just going to do it. It's like, because what's the worst that could happen, you know? And not in a bad way, but it's like, I think so many times, like, that's where people just get in their own way, or they listen to a meditation, or they journal and something comes up and they go, oh, okay. And then they just let it go, or they don't address it, you know, kind of like you're talking about the plant medicine, you know, they go in and then they don't change anything. And I was like, if nothing changes, nothing changes. Like, and I think that's what's great is like, you're such a wonderful example of like, well, I'm just going to change my entire podcast over the weekend. I'm going to completely like shed this identity and let go and do this instead. And like watching, I mean, even with like, you know, when you got your colors done and changing your hair color and like the outfits and stuff,
all
you know,
in.
Like all in. And it's, you know, that is like a really wonderful way to like just shed old identities and like step into something
gotta
new.
Shake it up.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that I don't kick and scream on the way.
Yeah, for sure.
Like I'm like, and I think that's the thing that people are waiting to like not be afraid or to feel comfortable. Yeah. And I'm like, look, I'm like 99% of the time I'm making these changes and I'm so uncomfortable and I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna do it, but I'm just like, I keep just being like, just do it. And all of that is going on at the same time. I'm not like waiting until I feel ready. I'm like super uncomfortable and I second guess the whole way through, but I just keep going, and then it like sorts itself out, you know. That's okay, I got there, right? You know, so Yeah, just do it scared. 100%.
Yeah.
Do it for the plot twist.
Yeah, I was like, take messy action.
Yeah,
I love
exactly.
that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mhm.
This is so fun.
Love it.
Thank
Congrats.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I feel
love
really
it.
good about it. Yeah, and anybody listening, let us know your favorite episode. I want to know, and let us know what you want to see more of on the pod too. That's actually a good question. I will certainly be following my inspiration.
Yeah.
Always. All right, everyone. That's going to be a wrap on our 800th episode. Thanks so much for being here. Thanks so much for being with me. If you've been here for the whole time, if you've been here just recently, I'm like so grateful to get to hang out with you every week, because without you, there would be no show. So, and thank you to my team for making it happen, especially Tynelli.
Yeah,
who, like,
Tynelli is an MVP.
Literally, Tynelli and Rachel, who like literally
Yeah.
produce the show.
Yeah.
So I just get to sit here. So thank you to them. All right, everyone. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, and I'll chat with you on our next episode.